Jews in Shushan by Rudyard Kipling. Footnote copyright 1981 by Macmillan Co. My newly purchased house furniture was at the least insecure, the legs parted from the chairs, and the tops from the tables on the slightest provocation. But such as it was to be paid for, and Ephraim, agent and collector for the local auctioneer, waited in the veranda. With the receipt he was announced by the Mahomedan servant as Ephraim Yehudi, Ephraim the Jew, he who believes in the brotherhood of man, should hear my Allahi Baksh, grinding the second word. Through his white teeth, with all the scorn he dare show before his master, Ephraim was personally meek, in manner so meek, indeed, that one could not understand how he had fallen into the profession of bill collecting. He resembled an overwhelmed sheep, and his voice suited his figure. There was a fixed, unvarying mask of childish wonder upon his face. If you paid him, he was as one marveling at your wealth. If you sent him away, he seemed puzzled at your hard-heartedness. Never was Jew more unlike his dread breed. Ephraim wore list slippers and coats of duster cloth so preposterously patterned that the most brazen of British subalterns would have shied from them in fear. Very slow and deliberate was his speech, and carefully guarded to give offense to no one. After many weeks Ephraim was induced to speak to me of his friends. There be 8 of us in Shushan, and we are waiting till there are 10. Then we shall apply for a synagogue and get leave from Calcutta. Today we have no synagogue, and I am priest and butcher to our people. I am of the tribe of Judah, I think, but I am not sure. My father was of the tribe of Judah, and we wish much to get our synagogue. I shall be a priest of that synagogue. Shushan is a big city in the north of India, counting its dwellers by the 10,000, and these 8 of the chosen people were shut up in its midst, waiting till time or chance sent them their full congregation. Miriam, the wife of Ephraim, 2 little children, an orphan boy of their people, Ephraim's uncle Jackrel Israel, a white-haired old man, his wife Hester, a Jew from Kuch one Hayam Benjamin, and Ephraim, priest and butcher, made up the list of the Jews in Shushan. They lived in one house on the outskirts of the great city, amid heaps of saltpeter, rotten bricks, herds of kine, and a fixed pillar of dust, caused by the incessant passing of the beasts to the river to drink in the evening. The children of the city came to the waste place to fly their kites, and Ephraim's sons, aloof watching the sport from the roof, but never descending to take part in them. At the back of the house stood a small brick enclosure, in which Ephraim prepared the daily meat for his people after the custom of the Jews. Once the rude door of the square was suddenly smashed open by a struggle from inside, and showed the meek bill collector at his work, nostrils dilated, lips drawn back over his teeth, and his hands upon a half-maddened sheep. He was attired in strange raiment, having no relation whatever to duster coats or list slippers, and a knife was in his mouth. As he struggled with the animal between the walls, the breath came from him in thick sobs, and the nature of the man seemed changed. When the ordained slaughter was ended, he saw that the door was open, and shut it hastily, his hand leaving a red mark on the timber, while his children from the neighboring housetop looked down awe-stricken, and open-eyed. A glimpse of Ephraim busied in one of his religious capacities was no thing to be desired twice. Summer came upon Shushan, turning the trodden waste ground to iron, and bringing sickness to the city. It will not touch us, said Ephraim confidently, before the winter. We shall have our synagogue. My brother and his wife and children are coming up from Calcutta, and then I shall be the priest of the synagogue. Jackrel Israel, the old man, would crawl out in the stifling evenings to sit on the rubbish heap and watch the corpses being borne down to the river. It will not come near us, said Jackrel Israel feebly, for we are the people of God, and my nephew will be priest of our synagogue. Let them die. He crept back to his house again, and barred the door to shut himself off from the world of the Gentile. But Miriam, the wife of Ephraim, looked out of the window at the dead as the biers passed, and said that she was afraid. Ephraim comforted her with hopes of the synagogue to be, and collected bills, as was his custom. In one night the 2 children died, and were buried early in the morning by Ephraim. The deaths never appeared in the city. Returns the sorrow is my sorrow, said Ephraim, and this to him seemed a sufficient reason for setting at naught the sanitary regulations of a large, flourishing, and remarkably well-governed empire. The orphan boy, dependent on the charity of Ephraim and his wife, could have felt no gratitude, and must have been a ruffian. He begged for whatever money his protectors would give him, and with that fled down country for his life. A week after the death of her children, Miriam left her bed at night and wandered over the country to find them. She heard them crying behind every bush or drowning in every pool of water in the fields, and she begged the cartmen on the Grand Trunk Road not to steal her little ones from her. In the morning, the sun rose and beat upon her bare head, and she turned into the cool, wet crops to lie down, and never came back, though Hiram, Benjamin, and Ephraim sought her for 2 nights. The look of patient wonder on Ephraim's face deepened, but he presently found an explanation. There are so few of us here, and these people are so many, said he, that it may be our God has forgotten us. In the house on the outskirts of the city, old Jackrell, Israel, and Hester grumbled that there was no one to wait on them, and that Miriam had been untrue to her race. Ephraim went out and collected bills, and in the evening smoked with Hiram Benjamin, till one dawning Hiram Benjamin died, having first paid all his debts to Ephraim. Jackrell, Israel, and Hester sat alone in the empty house all day, and when Ephraim returned, wept the easy tears of age, till they cried themselves asleep. A week later, Ephraim, staggering under a huge bundle of clothes and cooking pots, led the old man and woman to the railway station, where the bustle and confusion made them whimper. "We are going back to Calcutta," said Ephraim, to whose sleeve Hester was clinging. "There are more of us there, and here my house is empty." He helped Hester into the carriage, and turning back, said to me, "I should have been priest of the synagogue if there had been 10 of us. Surely we must have been forgotten by our God." The remnant of the broken colony passed out of the station on their journey south, while a subaltern turning over the books on the bookstall was whistling to himself the 10 Little Nigger Boys. But the tune sounded as solemn as the Dead March. It was the dirge of the Jews in SHUSHAN.